was kind enough to step in for Deanne at the very last minute so that we would have someone to present a chamber talk today. And on a personal level, I have to apologize to Jesse because he had offered himself up to do this, and I had kind of put him down about this and had said that he couldn't do a chamber talk, and then when I needed somebody, I asked him. So I am apologizing from the bottom of my heart because I knew you wanted to do it, so that's why I asked you. So I thank you very personally, and thank you. Jesse Fleet from Express Auto Lease.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
So yeah, as Wendy mentioned, this was very last minute, so kind of winging some of this. So I'll briefly explain what it is that I do. Then I'll talk about business in general, and then maybe we'll swing back to more in detail about what I do. So I'm an auto consultant and broker. That means I basically find vehicles for people. We only do new vehicles, we don't do used. It's a little bit more than just going to a website or making a phone call. We actually consult with the clients, we talk about their needs, their budgets obviously, and what is currently the best solutions for them. Sometimes it's one vehicle, sometimes it might be a choice, but the important thing is that we work for you, the client. We don't work for the car companies. We don't push any particular vehicle. We don't have an agenda. So you're the one that benefits, and we average about 160 cars a month, so we get big discounts that you, the average consumer, is not going to get walking into a dealership. So we like to think that we provide a useful service, and given the numbers that we do each month, I believe that speaks for itself. So who here drives? And who here has ever been to buy a car, whether it's new or used? Right. How many of you enjoyed that experience? So yeah, oh, there's always a few. I actually personally, before I did this, I had one experience of buying a vehicle that was somewhat pleasant. I didn't have to take Xanax before I went into the dealership. Yeah, I think most people agree that the process of buying a car is problematic. It's fraught. Are you going to find the vehicle you want? If you're not going to find the vehicle you want, how close are you going to get to the vehicle you want? Is it the vehicle you want, or is the salesman going to give you a hard time? After you've dealt with all that, then comes the money. And we all know that no matter how much you think they're doing you a favor, you often walk out feeling like the opposite has happened, no matter how good they try and swing it. I can also say from personal experience that having done this for a while now, and having dealt with all these guys at the dealerships, we see them pulling these tricks all the time. And they even try it with us, and they should know better, to be honest, because we know their tricks. Obviously, it's a big thing buying a car. It's a lot of money. It's a big investment for most people. There are very few people who actually have the cash to go out and just buy a car outright. 99% of people don't have the money to do that. They're going to take a loan, or they're going to get a lease. Leasing is our strongest thing right now, mainly because the programs are so good. Most people do 10 or 12,000 miles a year. They don't need a car that, they don't need mileage that does more. So we do a lot of leases. That's big down here in Florida. And the car companies know this. Over the past few years, their lease programs have got better and better and more favorable. So I would say for every 10 cars we do, 8 are leases and 2 are sales. There's really, these days, only 2 reasons to purchase a car. The first would be if you have excessive mileage in a year. Now, excessive means probably more than 15,000 miles, because that's where most lease programs top out. So yes, if you're driving from here to Boca and back every day, the lease is not going to work for you. You're going to blow through your miles, and then at the end of the lease, they're going to hit you up with a large fine, as it were. They charge you per mile that you're over. The only other reason to purchase a car is if you really plan on keeping it for about 8 to 10 years, because that's when you're going to get the full value of the car back. most vehicles lose about, I would say on average, about 55 to 60% of the value the moment they're driven off the lot. And I know this because we have the residual values of the cars in our software. That's how they calculate leases, because on the lease you're basically paying for the loss. So, you know, when I consult with clients, some of them are very old school. I kind of grew up in the age when leases didn't exist either. As a kid, leases did not exist. So I understand that point of view. You know, some people are very steadfast about it, and that's fine. We will do our best as a consultancy to advise them on where their money is best spent, because you know, nobody likes to lose money. Let's see. Yeah, I just had a brain funk. Trying to think what it is, how I can best describe what we do. You know, I've lost it.
What is your process, Jesse?
Yeah, actually, this is pretty much where I get to with clients, and after this it all becomes questions. So maybe better if I just start taking questions from people, because the one thing I've learned is that I can talk all I want, but really it's the clients who have the questions. They're the ones who really need the information. So I'm more than happy just to open up to questions at this point.
So
We don't charge a fee. Our money is made during the process of selling the car or selling the lease. We have arrangements with the dealerships, which we negotiate beforehand. That way, you know, we don't charge a $500 fee or anything like that. If you end up not taking the car, we don't charge a fee for it.
Oh, that's awesome.
how about test driving?
Yeah, we thoroughly encourage it. We usually tell people to just go to a dealership, go check out the cars, drive as many as you can. The best thing about test drives is the one thing you can't do talking, which is the tactile response. How does the car feel? How does the materials feel? When you push that button, does it feel like you're buying a $60,000 car, or does it feel like a $20,000 car? Because there is a difference. All the little things make a difference.
If I could just share something as well, coming from my background, I hear this, and I think this is terrific, and I kind of just wanted to share why. I investigated a number of car dealerships when I was a federal agent, and there was one dealership in particular, not here locally, where I wound up arresting 5 of their employees, from their salespeople to their general manager to one of their partners, for a variety of different fraud schemes. But the ones that enraged me the most were the consumer fraud schemes that I saw. And I didn't realize at the time. You know, I was an agent. I drove a car. I think my partners let me drive once, maybe twice in all the years I was in law enforcement, because I grew up in New York and I'm good at other things besides driving. Mm-hmm. But all of those line items that you see in vehicle contracts, what I found is people have such an emotional response when they drive a car and they want that car, that a lot of people are willing to just sign what's in front of them, and they don't question what things are called, the nomenclature of the different line items in there. And I had to learn Deal Jacket 101 in order to effectively work that case. It took 1.5 years for me to indict these 5 guys. I mean, one of them is still in federal prison, and I've been out of law enforcement for 5 years. He's going to be there for a while longer because of the amount of consumers that he ripped off. And I'm lucky. My husband's cousin is a car dealer, so I never buy a car without him reviewing the paperwork. But most of us don't have that. And I have to say, the line items do matter, because I have seen consumers come in 5 years after they buy a vehicle thinking that they purchased an extended warranty, where the guy who they wrote the check or, you know, did the financing through pocketed the cash. False diplomas that were in people's files after the deals were submitted to give a $1,000 rebate that the sales guy pocketed. You would not, and I'm not saying that all car dealers or dealerships or people who sell cars or finance them are dishonest. I'm not making a blanket judgment. But for those of us who are less sophisticated about what actually goes into the deal and the makings of the car, because we have that emotional response, I wish we had 1 million of you out there to protect consumers, because I can attest, I had no idea how easy it is to swindle a consumer who's buying a car. That's a great ringtone, by the way.
Oh, we think so.
So I apologize for jumping in.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean,
have a question.
Look, there's a reason that car dealerships and dealers and the guys that work there all have a bad reputation. They've earned it. I agree with you, not every car dealership is like that, and not every person who works at a dealership is like that. There are some good guys out there. For every good guy, there is a scumbag, and I know that because we have to deal with them. In fact, we don't really deal with them because the moment we find out, we don't deal with them. But you're absolutely right. They've kind of created their own reputation, and that's their problem. But you're right. Anyone who's ever gone and got a new car knows that you've been on the sales room floor, you found the model you like, it's got all the bits in it you want, the sales guys run some numbers and said, oh, it's going to be, $350 a month, and you're really happy, you're like, okay, that's in my budget. And then you spend 4 hours in the finance guy's office, where he then starts breaking down all the things and adding things that the sales guy never told you about. And suddenly your $350 payment is now $480. But you've been in there so long. You've been in there virtually the entire day. You've invested your time, your patience, and you're worn down. And that's what they take advantage of. We don't do that. I mean, all the bad things you know about dealerships is why we exist and why we do good business. Because we take, basically, you never have to go to a dealership with us. We encourage it if you want to see the car, obviously. Absolutely do that. I often, a typical client interaction with me is somebody calls me, he says, I got a referral from XYZ. Okay, I'm interested in BMW and Audi and Mercedes. Okay, which models? Okay, what colors do you like? What tech do you need? How many miles do you need? Pertinent information that anyone's going to need. We then look at what's out there for that month. Now here's the important thing too. Car prices change every single month because rebates and special offers change the first week of every month. So I have a client right now who wants a car next month, and I said to him, I'm not going to price you right now. He's like, well, I need the price. I said, I'm not going to price you right now because it's March. You're going to need the car in April. The price can change. It could get worse. It could stay the same. It could get better. We never know. Even the car dealerships never know because all these rebates and the rates come from the manufacturers. So, we just try to help the client be in the car that suits them for when they need it. Any more?
2 points, just to follow up. In terms of, you're going into a car dealership cold, you're going to be treated that way, so you're going to be taken advantage of. I have this feeling. It's how do you build that relationship that the referral becomes your trademark, if you will? In terms of, people sitting around this table, they say, call Jesse, don't go anywhere
Well, because
else.
it's a referral. I mean, I like to think that referrals are made because you trust the person giving it or receiving it. There's a connection there. Yeah, I mean, if you need a plasterer, hey, I need somebody to come and plaster my walls. Someone's going to recommend, oh, this guy did a great job. That's most of the battle right there. It's no different with what we do. We recommend people go to car dealerships because for 2 reasons, really. One, to check out the car. Yes, we don't hold any inventory. We source our cars from all over the state, sometimes out of state. If it's a special model, we ship it down. The other reason we tell them to go to the dealership is because we know the dealership is going to give them a stupid price. I mean, and it makes our job so much easier because the dealership are going to try to whack them for as much money as they can. A certain Mercedes, they're going to keep up for $600 a month. We'll come in, we'll price it out. Maybe ours will be $420 a month. Why? Because we've got much less overheads, and we would rather establish a relationship with the client. We have one client at the moment, this guy we did a Mercedes for in Brickell, who's given us 12 customers in 3 months because he was so impressed with the service he provided. So for us, it's not always about the short money. It's about how do we keep this relationship going with the clients? How do we expand that? How do we get that person to say, oh, I've got a friend who has a friend who needs a car and all this stuff. That's how we do it.
So
And-
can I ask you a follow-up question to that? What was your worst nightmare in terms of a customer that you've been dealing with?
It's hard to say. People have expectations beyond what's really available to them. I had a guy who wanted, I think he wanted like an S-Class Mercedes. He was from Argentina, I believe, and he had no credit at all, but he wanted a lease. Now, we deal with clients all the time who have no credit. In fact, most of the people who have no credit are very rich people, millionaires, etc. Why? Because they don't have any credit. They never need it. They pay for everything with cash. I think that was his case. He was a rich businessman from Argentina. That was the other thing. He had no residency here. He had no residency. He had no credit, but he wanted to be leasing a Mercedes. And
I know him. My uncle actually, I'm from Argentina.
so the worst client is the one who doesn't listen to your advice. We try to tell them, like, okay, this is the situation. Then the bank is not going to buy you. It's nothing to do with us. We're a brokerage company. We don't process your credit. The car's banking system does. This is what you need to do. Oh, well, I don't want to do that. Well, that's the only option to you. And it's the client who doesn't listen, won't work with you. At that point, there's nothing you can do. So, that's the worst client is the one we lose, to be honest. We try to take care of everyone if we can. Sorry, you had a question.
You only deal with new clients, or if somebody like, I already have a lease, so could I be your client as well?
Absolutely, yeah.
God, thank
No,
you.
most of our clients are people who are already in cars and their lease is coming up in a couple of months, and they're like, oh, my lease ends in June. I'm looking to get something, and we'll start to consult with them. Certain car companies have what they call conquest. So if I tend to use the Mercedes, Audi, BMW thing a lot, but we actually personally do every car from Toyota and Honda all the way up through Rolls Royces, Maseratis, Porsches.
Yeah, that's where I am.
But certain car companies have what they call conquest, which is where if you're in an Audi, you've got 3 months left, and Mercedes has a conquest program, they'll say, well, we'll buy out the last 3 payments of your lease to get you into our brand. Now, again, these change every month. Sometimes they're across the range, sometimes they're only on certain models, sometimes they vary from month to month. There's also loyalty programs, which is where you're in an Audi, you like the new one. I want to get in the new one. They have a 3-month buyout on your lease. So they'll actually pay off the 3 months or the 4 months or the 5 months or the 6 months. Maserati have one right now. They're buying out 6 months of people's leases, which is, I think, the highest in the industry right now. On any vehicle, that's a huge amount of money, because if you have a $700 a month lease, that's $4,200 right there that they're saving. So it depends. This is the beauty of what we do, is we're not beholden to any one particular car or brand. We're happy to say, you say, oh, I really like the BMW 5 Series. You know what, the BMW 5 Series is leasing really bad this month. Have you considered the Mercedes or Lexus, things like that? No, I haven't thought about those. The other good thing about what we do too is because of the amount of discount that we get with vehicles, sometimes we're able to get people into better cars than they thought possible. Recently I had a client who wanted a Toyota CHR, which is their little SUV. It's a real cool, funky looking car. At the time, it's pricing really well right now, but at the time it wasn't so favorable. But the lady said, oh, that's perfect for me. I need a small, compact SUV. My budget's, up to $400 a month and this and that. And, we looked at the pricing and it was coming in right around there. But we had a good deal with Lexus at that time. And I said to her, well, have you thought about getting a Lexus? She said, well, I can't get a Lexus, it's out of my range. I said, I can get you in the same size Lexus for $20 a month less than the Toyota. She's like, wow. Really? I said, yeah. She's like, absolutely. So it's nice to be able to help clients like that too, like sort of get them an upgrade and get them into vehicles they might not have considered.
And then they deliver the car to your house. Yes.
Well, yeah, 9 out of 10 times we can have it delivered to you. Yeah. I just did a Cadillac Escalade to a guy at the courts down in South of 5th, and the dealership brought it right up to his door and delivered it for him. So most of the time we try to do that as well.
Unless you're in Argentina.
Yes.
A couple of questions. Do the payments go to you if it's a lease?
Everything we do goes through the respective manufacturers' finance companies. If you're doing Chevy or a Cadillac, it goes through GM Financial. If you're doing Lexus, it goes through Lexus Financial. We're kind of we're the middleman. Mm-hmm. We process everything, we do all that. Because of our numbers, because we're doing so many of these vehicles, that's how we get the discounts.
And how much is your discount generally?
It varies on brand and car and the month. It really does. But needless to say, I mean, I did an Audi A4 for a guy about 2 months ago, and I saved him $7,500 on a $55,000 car. I got it for like 48 or 47 and a half. That was a really good discount at the time. We had, because we get our discount, there was a ton of rebates, and the vehicle he's in qualified him for another rebate and another discount. And so by the time we added up all the discounts, it was just over $7,500.
And he goes to whatever dealership he wants to for his maintenance and so forth.
Yeah,
and so on.
again, most maintenance packages, most regular oil changes with rotations, again, if you had an Audi, you can go to any Audi dealership and do that. You're not beholden to the one where you get the car from. Now, that being said, if you purchase a maintenance program, sometimes they're actually worth buying. The Audi one, for instance, I know this because I just sold it to him. I think that the 3 changes that he needed, the 3 services, the first one's $300, second one is $300, the fourth one is $500. So that being said, they had a program, and they still do, I believe, where if you purchase the maintenance up front, I think you get it for like $700. So you're saving what, $300 or $400, I think it is, just by doing that. But for that kind of thing, you do have to go to that dealership, because that is something the dealership sells, not the manufacturer.
We'll take 2 more questions and then we have to move on.
Yes.
Do you also have companies to have their car? Is there an
Wait,
advantage
you
for
mean
the
fleet?
companies? No, like me getting a car or getting a car under our company. Is there any difference?
Most clients do that. They have their own LLCs and whatever, and this is what we do.
Is there any advantage?
Not really. No, there really isn't, because let's say that you have your own, you have your own LLC. You want a car; it's going to be used for business, 99% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Certain manufacturers have what they call business solutions, but you're not really going to get any extra discount. It's not going to make any difference. All it is the application with the bank. Most people tend to just get the car in their own name, and then just their company just writes the check every month or sets up on auto pay and does it. That's a little bit more advantageous for you, because obviously your company's paying for it. You're never going to miss a payment. Your credit goes up. So it's actually better for that than doing it through the company, because through the company your credit score is not going to go up.
I think we should give a disclaimer. Anybody an accountant in the room? Okay. I don't think you should give accounting advice, because, the question, I think there's 2 parts to your question, if I may.
Yes.
Is it less expensive to buy it that way? From his standpoint, there's no difference. But you might want to check with your accountant. I'm not saying why.
Yeah, obviously,
because
yes.
if you are writing it off through a business, there might be a tax advantage to your company to do that. Okay, so I think it's totally different than the question that he can answer, which is it any difference to him? You're not going to get it any cheaper, but there could be tax differential, writing it off through your company. So I don't want to give the impression, and I'm not an accountant, but I suggest we shouldn't be giving accounting advice. That's something you should check with.
No, I agree with Jerry. Again, I'm not a CPA. I'm just going on what we've dealt with in the
countries,
past.
there are almost like 50%, very huge discount when you get car under your company. You can deduct the payment from some other government tax. It's a
But
huge-
that's a tax thing.
Yeah.
Gwen?
Yeah.
The question, when you lease the insurance, is the insurance, I've always been told that the insurance is much higher. So for me, when I buy, a car's a vehicle, I don't get emotional, I hate car dealerships. So your business works wonders for me. As far as budget-wise, am I saving on the car note, but I'm paying more in my insurance?
Again, that's an individual question. It depends on your zip code, your driving record, the particular vehicle you're buying. Overall, is it more expensive? Yes, but only in so much that you have to usually carry more coverage. And I don't know what you would carry normally. I mean, some people buy the bare minimum, like what is it, 10, 20, I think it is. So they're basically just buying enough insurance just so they can legally have insurance. There used to be a requirement in the state of Florida to carry maximum on a lease, which I think is what, 100, 300.
Yeah.
I just found out recently that that's actually not the case. I have an Infinity, and Infinity,
Me too.
all right, and Infinity just said that no, you don't have to carry that maximum. You actually can carry whatever you want, which I found amazing. I dropped my insurance a little bit, but I didn't drop it to the minimum.
I don't have to know, but that.
All right.
that's always been mine.
All right, everybody, I wanted to thank Jesse very much. I hope you brought, I hope you brought a lot of business cards. You can
I got
put them
some.
around.
I have some, and I have more in the car.
Okay,
I
yeah.
want to apologize for like the blank out there. I just.
It's okay.